Who are these people? What brought them to this point?
I don't do drugs. You want drugs? It's trying to be, but I'm really a what? But I'm really a what? I'm really a what? Right now. I'm people right now. You know what I'm saying?
Is this the life they truly deserve? In the pitch dark middle of the night, in a deserted stretch of woods on the outskirts of San Antonio, people without homes are trying to catch a bit of sleep after a long, exhausting day. You know, that's the reality thousands of unhoused people here are facing right now in 2026. They're being hunted down by drones equipped with the most advanced thermal sensors. Sounds a little chillin', doesn't it? In reality, behind the dry statistics, an invisible crisis is quietly smoldering. Here's the brutal truth on the ground. San Antonio is locked in a full-blown homelessness crisis that's accelerating faster than the system can handle. Official point-in-time numbers just hit 3,625 people with over 100 of them sleeping rough, exposed to the elements 247.
No, we can't get blankets because of city rules and politics. The government doesn't care. The people of the city are awesome. The people of the city are awesome.
Those are families and, even worse, children forced to turn an old, worn-out car into their home under scorching heat of over 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, the city government is taking extremely hardline steps, using high-tech tools to crack down while also planning to eliminate thousands of the last remaining units of public housing. What do you think? It all feels kind of contradictory and, in a way, bitter, doesn't it?
Well, it makes me feel like an animal, actually, where they put that decriminalizing. All that means is they just want to put you in jail. Mm-hmm. And what does that say? It criminalizes you, actually.
Mm-hmm. Right in the middle of Millam Park in San Antonio, people light up as many as 270 flickering candles. Each candle represents a name, a person who passed away that year simply because they didn't have a roof over their head. Honestly, I don't think this issue is simple at all. It affects so many people, from veterans to families to the elderly. And today, I want to dive deep with you into the latest situation in San Antonio, from real data to the events that are drawing public attention. What do you think? Ready to hear the full story? Let's explore this together, because who knows, by the end of it, we might see things a little more clearly, right? In early 2026, enforcement teams are hitting multiple encampments along major corridors like Loop 410, fast, coordinated sweeps, arrests tied to outstanding warrants, drug activity flagged, camps cleared within hours.
Meth is like water out here. It's you can get it faster than any other drug. You can get a lot of it, and you can keep getting a lot of it. Everybody has it. Everybody does it. It's the real pandemic.
This isn't random. It's targeted, deliberate, and timed. But before you even get to the boots on the ground, you have to look at the raw numbers driving this pressure. According to the official 2025 point-in-time count by Close to Home, San Antonio and Bexar County recorded 3,625 people experiencing homelessness on a single night, a tough jump from the year before. Of those, 2,489 were sheltered and 1,136 were living completely unsheltered, exposed to the elements. That marks the second straight year of increases. 6.8% in 2024, followed by this latest 7.5% spike in 2025. Families with children, LGBTQ plus youth, Black residents, and veterans are getting hammered hardest, with Black individuals significantly overrepresented compared to their share of the local population. Here's the cold reality on the street. Enforcement teams are running 5 to 6 sweeps a day, sometimes more, ripping down tents, tarps, shopping carts, and whatever meager gear keeps people alive. They hammer the same spots repeatedly: deep woods, under bridges, forgotten trails. Texas Senate Bill 241 backs it all, turning sleeping rough into a straight-up offense with fines up to $500, cash that most people out here couldn't scrape together in a month. Add in those industrial-grade thermal drones overhead, capable of pinpointing a human heat signature through thick foliage or under massive concrete overpasses, and the pressure becomes relentless. At the same time, internal stress inside these encampments is boiling over. When you compress hundreds of vulnerable individuals into unmanaged spaces with limited resources, friction is inevitable. Throw heavy substance abuse into the mix, and the volatility curve shoots straight up. As a result, city response escalates. Barriers go up, access points get blocked, surveillance increases. It looks like control, but functionally, it's containment. And within 48 hours after a sweep, people are forced to relocate, usually to less visible, more dangerous zones. Meanwhile, the annual pit count for 2026 was already adjusted in January due to freezing temperatures, with emergency overflow shelters opened at places like Bode Community Center and communities under the bridge. One hotel closure alone pushed 25-30 additional families onto the street overnight. These aren't abstract trends, they're bodies moving through a system that's struggling to keep up. Here's the brutal core driving the crisis on San Antonio's streets right now. Fentanyl and meth aren't side issues. They're straight up ruling the blocks and turning daily survival into a high-stakes grind. Addiction hits harder and faster than most people admit. When the system fails, these substances take over, ripping away any chance at steady work, relationships, or keeping a roof overhead. Street-level users chase the next hit while their bodies break down from repeated overdoses, infections, and total exhaustion. Documentaries like When the System Fails, Addiction Rules the Streets lay it out raw. Treatment slots are scarce, mental health support lags, and the drugs keep winning. That's why so many keep cycling back to the pavement, no matter how many times outreach teams show up. On top of that, skyrocketing housing costs are slamming the door shut for working families. Rents and home prices have climbed way faster than wages, leaving thousands just one missed paycheck or hotel closure away from tents. One recent shutdown pushed 25 to 30 families straight into housing insecurity overnight. Minimum wage sits at $7.25 an hour, while a basic 2-bedroom apartment demands triple that to stay afloat. The affordable housing gap sits around 16,400 units for the lowest income households, meaning the math simply doesn't work for too many people scraping by. Furthermore, extreme weather turns an already brutal existence into a lethal one. Freezing snaps in January force extra emergency shelters, yet many still end up exposed. Come summer, triple-digit heat brings heat stroke risks that kill without warning. These physical realities compound everything else. Untreated health problems, disabilities, and past evictions stack the odds even higher against getting back inside. Here's the controversial part that sparks real debate. Tough enforcement and quick sweeps feel necessary for public safety, but when they hit without enough treatment beds or permanent housing first, they often just shuffle the problem and raise the body count. The streets don't care about politics. They punish weakness instantly. Until the city scales up both hardcore addiction recovery and actual affordable units at the same pace as the crackdowns, the survival equation stays stacked against the unsheltered. The numbers keep climbing because the root mechanics, drugs, dollars, and deadly weather aren't being fixed fast enough. San Antonio's social safety net isn't just failing, it's being surgically dismantled. We are witnessing a tactical withdrawal of fundamental support as Opportunity Home San Antonio initiates the phase-out of 6,000 public housing units, a systemic wipeout of the city's last resort shelter. While the City Council debates urban revitalization, thousands of low-income residents are watching their only line of defense against the street get bulldozed for luxury tier tax breaks. Consequently, the working homeless demographic has hit a terminal velocity, forcing families to optimize 40 square feet of a sedan into a mobile survival pod just to stay off the radar. Furthermore, the pressure on facilities like Haven for Hope has reached a catastrophic breaking point, with wait lists now functioning more like life sentences than actual intake queues. This isn't just a housing shortage. It's a high-stakes game of musical chairs where the music is completely stopped. If you still think homelessness is exclusively about addiction, you haven't seen the professional in a crisp 9-to-5 suit prepping for a board meeting in a gas station sink. Even with advocates like Terry Castillo sounding the alarm, the gentrification juggernaut continues to prioritize real estate margins over human occupancy. Fights inside Haven for Hope have turned ugly fast. Viral videos show men getting beaten with canes while lying down in the sleeping area. With security stretched thin handling medical emergencies elsewhere.
New details also this morning in a shooting at Haven for Hope that sent 3 people to the hospital, including 2 security guards. Around 10 p.m. last night, police say a man attacked a security guard after banging on the building's intake door. During the fight, the suspect tried to reach for the guard's gun, which eventually went off and hit the guard in the foot. Now, police say a second security officer arrived and shot the suspect 3 times, but he was also hit by a bullet in their leg. All are expected to recover.
The shelter is slammed beyond capacity, forcing tough calls like cutting floor sleeping and launching the Young at Heart program just to handle the sharp rise in elderly folks now stuck on the pavement. Meanwhile, out in the encampments, things get even more savage. A brutal beatdown under the West Commerce Street Bridge ended with a man grabbing a pickaxe in self-defense, prompting the city to slap up fences and restrict camping near the county jail. These incidents expose the brutal physical reality. Constant fear, sleep deprivation, untreated injuries, and zero margin for error when you're living exposed 247. On top of that, families with kids keep getting pushed into cars or tents after cheap hotels shut down, while random attacks on people sleeping rough keep climbing. Ultimately, the math is cold and undeniable. You cannot delete 6,000 beds during a housing crisis and expect anything less than a surge in urban camping. Some insiders argue this isn't a bureaucratic blunder, but a calculated cleansing of the downtown core, essentially an eviction of the poor to balance the municipal books. We've reached a point where the city treats poverty as a liability to be liquidated rather than a crisis to be solved. This is the industrial scale abandonment of the vulnerable, rebranded as progress. Here's the hard-nosed reality of what's actually being thrown at the problem on San Antonio's unforgiving streets in early 2026. While sweeps and drones grab the headlines, a handful of targeted fixes are quietly pulling some people off the pavement and giving them a fighting chance at real survival. The city and its partners are pushing permanent, supportive housing hard. The standout right now is Town Twin Village, a no-nonsense campus built for chronically homeless seniors and veterans. It mixes compact tiny homes, RV units, and efficiency apartments, each around 400 to 500 square feet, with 8 bathrooms, kitchenettes, and front porches. Over 40 tiny homes are already open, with plans for more than 200 total units wrapped in on-site medical, dental, and daily support. For folks who've spent years exposed to brutal heat, freezing nights, and constant threats, these small, stable units deliver immediate physical relief, a locked door, a real bed, and consistent care that cuts down on ER visits and street injuries. On top of that, converting existing hotels into shelter and housing units is delivering fast, practical results. These quick-turn projects get people inside right away, no waiting years for new construction. A solid roof and 4 walls beat sleeping rough under bridges or in tents, giving caseworkers a stable base to tackle addiction, job training, and long-term placement. It's not perfect, but it works faster than most bureaucratic plans. Meanwhile, grassroots power is rising through community organizing and advocacy efforts like the No Kings movement. Local groups and everyday residents are hitting the streets, pressuring officials for faster housing, better treatment access, and fairer policies. Their energy keeps the spotlight on the human cost and forces real conversations about balancing enforcement with actual help. Here's the controversial take that divides the room. These solutions prove we can move people from survival mode to stability when we focus on housing first models instead of endless sweeps. Yet critics argue that tiny home villages and hotel conversions are just band-aids if addiction treatment and mental health slots don't scale up at the same aggressive pace. The streets are brutally efficient, they reward results, not good intentions. If San Antonio ramps up these proven approaches alongside its new Homeless Services Department and aims for 1,000 permanent supportive units, the survival odds improve fast. Otherwise, the same harsh math of drugs, weather, and violence will keep winning. The pavement doesn't wait for perfect plans, it punishes delay every single night. Here's Here's the bottom line truth that hits hardest. After digging deep into San Antonio's streets in early 2026, homelessness isn't about laziness or bad choices anymore. It's the direct result of skyrocketing housing costs, aggressive enforcement policies, and a city growing too fast without enough safety nets for the most vulnerable. Over 3,625 people counted in the latest snapshot, with more than 1,100 still sleeping rough, exposed to brutal heat, freezing nights, and constant threats. The numbers don't lie, and the pavement keeps exacting its toll every single day. What happens next will define the city. Will San Antonio scale up proven solutions like Town, Twin Village, those compact tiny homes and supportive units that finally give seniors and veterans a locked door, real beds, and on-site care? Or will it keep leaning harder on thermal drones and quick sweeps that simply push people out of sight? Hotel conversions show they can pull families off the streets fast, while grassroots efforts like the No Kings movement prove community pressure can force real accountability. These approaches deliver immediate physical relief, fewer infections from open wounds, better access to treatment, and a fighting chance to rebuild before the next extreme weather event strikes. Yet here's the raw, controversial reality that sparks heated debate on both sides. Tough-on-crime tactics and high-tech enforcement feel satisfying for restoring order, but when they outpace actual housing and addiction recovery, they often just shuffle bodies around while the body count quietly climbs. A more humane housing-first strategy isn't soft. It's brutally practical street survival math. It works when tiny home villages and converted shelters combine with scaled-up treatment and permanent supportive units. Otherwise, the same deadly cycle of fentanyl evictions and exposure keeps winning. So the big question looms. Can San Antonio become a national model by balancing smart enforcement with aggressive, results-driven housing solutions? Or will it stand as a stark lesson in how good intentions and half measures fail when the streets demand faster, tougher action? The next pit count and budget decisions will tell the tale. One thing is certain, the pavement doesn't negotiate, doesn't forgive delays, and doesn't care about politics. Real change means matching the harsh reality on the ground with solutions that actually pull people inside before it's too late. The clock is ticking, and every night on these streets counts. The real test isn't just building more units, it's whether city leaders have the guts to treat this as the life or death survival crisis. It is, if they keep prioritizing sweeps over scaled up treatment beds and affordable housing stock, the unsheltered population will keep growing and the human cost will keep rising. On the flip side, when tiny homes, hotel conversions, and strong community voices like No Kings get real funding and fast-tracked support, lives stabilize fast. People stop dying from preventable exposure and untreated addiction. San Antonio still has the tools and the resources to turn this around, but only if it stops kicking the problem down the road and starts treating the streets with the same urgency the people living on them face every single night. The choice is clear, and the pavement is already keeping score.